Hi, this is Carlos Cousins, and the following ACT data interpretation question is asking for an explanation for a result obtained. They're telling us that the lactobacillus spp did not move in the first zero point 0.5 hours. The kerosene drop, sorry, did not move. Yep, and we see that here the kerosene drop after half an hour is 0 millimeters, sort of away from its original point of origin there for both of the lactobacillus um, cells. Now, why might that have been? Before we look at the answer choices, do they share anything in common? They're both lactobacillus, so maybe it has to do with the fact that they're of the same cell type, so they share that in common. Um, they also have a really high number here for an onset of respiration. They're the largest numbers there. What else? They both consume the smallest amount of oxygen. Okay, so there we go. What else do they share in common? They also have the smallest after 2 hours. Okay, but that's not what we were wondering about. So this one wouldn't necessarily help us too much. Neither would this because they have a different number of cells. And then finally, the color of the KOH strip. It's beige for the two of them. Maybe that can tell us something. Let's go ahead and consider the answers now. Since Lactobacillus spp's KOH strip was always beige, okay, so there we go. They do share this. This is true. The amount of oxygen consumed was always less than the other three types of bacterial cells, causing the kerosene drop not to move. The amount of oxygen consumed was always less as well. Now, was that because the color of the KOH strip was beige? I don't know about that. That would be an assumption. Maybe. I don't really know quite how this works. And you're not supposed to as a student, but that you'd be assuming if you believe that that was the case. So we can go ahead and get rid of that. Since Lactobacillus spp had two different trials with two varying amounts, the results were distorted. Well, not necessarily. In fact, it seems that it was really good that we tried it with different amounts because the results are slightly different. Slightly, but even then, if we're looking for distortion, they're also in line with each other. They're very similar, even though they're slightly different. So this one, the results aren't distorted at all. We just basically just had an extra trial, not a big deal. So remember, the distortion was a big one here. For the previous one, it was the word since, which means that because it's beige, it causes the oxygen to be consumed. Very literal. That doesn't make sense. Let's consider the third one. Since both amounts of Lactobacillus spp move the kerosene drop fewer millimeters than the other bacterial cells in 2 hours, well, we're not wondering about 2 hours. We're wondering about half an hour. 2 hours haven't gone by in half an hour yet, so that wouldn't give us a reason for anything. So we can get rid of that one as well. And then this last one, I guess it has to be the right answer. Let's see. Since Lactobacillus spp's earliest onset of initial respiration didn't occur until 48.22 minutes after the trial began, wait a second. This is more than half an hour. So before half an hour, there was absolutely no respiration going on. The lactobacillus didn't start having respiration until after almost a full hour went by, like 48 minutes or 58 minutes. So half an hour into the experiment here, of course the kerosene drop won't have moved because respiration isn't happening yet. The onset isn't until way after half an hour. So that makes sense. The kerosene drop couldn't have moved because the cells weren't consuming oxygen yet. Yep, that has to be the right answer. I hope that helped with this problem, and happy prepping.